Hi guys, it's Nancy. And you know when you get something and it's like Christmas and you're super excited and you can't wait to tell everybody, but you're not allowed to tell everybody until the right time? Well, today is the right time. You probably have already seen sneak peeks, but as you guys know, Catherine Pooler, one of my most favorite people in the world in the crafting industry, has crossed over into my realm. What do I mean by that? Just show you already, you say? Here's a hint. Now, Catherine Pooler did have, she had some wow foils, but no. She has now come out with hot foil plates! I was so stoked when I got the email, you guys, asking me to share these with you guys. I think they're going to do very well. I do think they're going to sell out very quickly. So if you think you're interested, I am not offended if you pause this video, go down to the description and start looking and shopping, okay? Please use my links down below. But you guys, I cannot. First of all, they're beautiful. These are teal colored hot foil plates. These are meant to be used in your hot foil machine. So Spellbinder's Glimmer, Gemini Foilpress, or Go Press and Foil machines. I'm going to be demonstrating in the Glimmer. If you want to check out my friend Tracy Schultz's channel, she's going to be demonstrating using her foil press. It works great in both machines. So we have some sentiments here, and these are called the Joyful Thanks Hot Foil Sentiments. Comes with the hot foil plates and the dies. Thank you, Catherine. So, big thanks. You're a blessing. Full of joy. Grateful for you. Sending hugs. With all my love. Thank you, and thankful for you. Love the fonts. We're definitely going to foil these. Then we have the swirling leaf. Now, you may have seen this in a stamp, but now we have it in a hot foil format. And, yes, a teal hot foil solid plate. It's just pretty. It's just pretty. But more important than it being pretty, do they work? Yes, they do work. Because you guys know, foiling Empress is not going to lead you astray. So, I have cut down some Catherine Pooler Premium Cardstock. This is her 100-pound cardstock. It works very well for foiling. We're going to go through some quick tips and tricks here. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are not familiar with hot foiling, I have a ton of videos showing you guys how to foil. Hot foil is where you use these special metal stamps and they press the foil into your paper. Okay, so this is the Spellbinder's Glimmer machine. It comes with your base unit, your platform, and then 2 shims. Now, I do want to tell you, if you guys are having overfoiling problems, you don't have to use both of these shims. You can actually remove this thin green shim. I will tell you the quality of these hot foil plates is very good. They are very thick and sturdy. This is not cheap stuff, you guys, and I've found that I do get a very good impression with them. So some of you guys out there might need to remove this thin shim, just giving you a heads up right now, depending on your die cutting machine. Everybody's foiling platform and die cutting machine combo is a little different. Sometimes you need to add shims, sometimes you need to take shims away. Okay, so as you can see, my machine is nice and hot. It has been warming up for a few minutes. We're going to start off with this beautiful swirling leaves pattern. And I have cut down a couple of different colors of foil. These are all Spellbinder's foils, but you can use any hot foil company you have. I have some copper, some espresso bean, and some tangerine. The tangerine has a little bit of a holographic in it, so I thought that would look pretty on these leaves. Yes, I'm thinking fall, having so much fun, and lost my paper already. Here we go. I have cut my Catherine Pooler paper down to 5.5 by 4.25. Just eyeballing here that I get it lined up. This is a pretty large plate. Okay, and then I'm going to put my green shim on. It doesn't matter which order you put your shims on. Normally when you watch my videos, I do have everything all taped together, but I wanted to talk about taking that green shim out if you have to. We're going to press this timer button, and all this timer button does is it counts down 60 seconds. What I'm going to do while it's doing that is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to bring my die cutting machine in. I use the Platinum from Spellbinders. You can use the Big Shot, the Big Kick. You can use the Vagabond. You can use the Sizzix Switch. You can use the full-size Platinum, the 8.5 inch or the 6 inch. But you want one of those machines. You cannot use the Gemini machine, a Gemini Junior. You cannot use the Anna Griffin, what do you call it? Empress. I was told you can use the Cuttlebug, but that is the only machine I don't have to test out, okay? So we're going to move this aside. I'm going to bring my die cutting machine in. As soon as that's done blinking, I'll bring you guys back in and you'll see me run it through. Okay, guys, welcome back. I have my Platinum machine here, which is just my die cutting machine. And my lights have done blinking on my Spellbinders Glimmer. So all I'm going to do is disengage that and very carefully move everything over to my Platinum. And all we're going to do now is very slowly run this through. And again, you should feel some pressure. If you feel too much pushback or pressure, stop. You do not want to damage your machine. That means you have too much in your sandwich. If your plates start to bow, that's too much pressure. If you don't feel any pressure at all when you're rolling this through and it's just easy peasy, you might need to add some shims. And for shims, just going to add some like thick paper cardstock. Okay? Again, it all depends on your die cutting machine. Okay? And we're going to remove this and we're going to give this a second to cool down. We're going to take off this. This is very hot, so you want to use whatever magnetic tool you have and then set that aside. There's a silicone mat and this magnetic tool that come with the Spellbinders Glimmer. And I'm going to just grab some of the sentiments. And you want to put the flat side down. The press side should be up. Okay, and we should be able to do a couple here at the same time. We'll do a couple of the larger ones. And you don't want the dies, you just want the hot foil stamps. And the hot foil stamps are flat. So you know these are different from dies because dies have a raised edge. Hot foil stamps have a flat edge. Okay, so we're going to put a couple of these in here. You don't want them perfectly straight. I'm actually going to put these at a little bit of an angle here because if you put them on straight and you go through your die cutting machine, you can cause what's called like speed bumps, and then that causes a problem with your foiling. So I'm going to put these at a little bit of an angle, and I want enough room that I can cut them out with a die. And I'm going to use some of the, let's use the espresso bean, which is a dark brown. And another piece of paper. Put that on there. Okay. And again, put my 2 shims on and plug this back into the platform. And you want to make sure when you plug this in, you have full contact up here. I'm going to press that in, and then this will turn green when it's ready for us to hit the timer button. All right. So just to give you an up close, you can see how this is very flat. That is a hot foil stamp, okay? So this does not cut anything out. It just gives an impression, and what this does is this heats up and it presses into the foil, and the foil, it leaves an impression behind with the foil. You have to use very specific foil. You cannot just use any foil. It has to be hot foil. It has a built-in adhesive. So again, Spellbinders Glimmer foil or Gemini Foilpress foil or Crafty Critta hot foil, Blue Bonnet hot foil. I believe Deco Foil now has hot foil. So there are quite a few companies out there. If you have any questions, let me know. Let this cool, and we're going to reveal it. And that is really pretty. Now we're going to keep this piece, and I'm going to show you how to use that. I have a little bit of foil flaking. I'm just going to take a stiff brush, and over a trash can, I'm just going to brush this. You can see wherever there's fine lines, some of that foil is kind of sticking up. Just brush that and it will come off. See that flake right off? And that just depends on some of the foiling companies, but also the design of the plate doesn't hurt anything. And just by brushing that off, all of that excess foil is now out of the way. Isn't this gorgeous? Now, if you have missing spots of foil, that means one of two things. You didn't let your machine heat up enough. Your hot foil plate wasn't hot enough. It wasn't ready. Or two, you don't have enough pressure. So you might have to add a shim. Okay, but this is using Catherine Puller paper. Her paper is fabulous. Okay, so now we have our sentiments are ready to go. It's telling me it's hot enough. We're going to hit that. Okay, and just like before, I will bring you guys back in 60 seconds. Okay, guys, time is up. We are disengaging our platform. And again, carefully bringing it over. And slowly running that through. Take your time. This is not a race. And your platform is going to be warm, so just be careful. You don't really want to do this with small kids or pets around. And again, we're going to take that off of there. I'm going to take my plates off. And then I'm going to bring in the solid plate and show you guys how to foil your waste. So we're going to put the solid plate on there, and we're going to put that back on the heat, and we want that to get very hot. Super, super hot. The hotter that is, the better. All right. And I started to pull, and it already started to reveal. Pretty good, okay? Now see on these corners here, that's called overfoiling, where your foil goes not necessarily where you want it. In this case, it doesn't matter because we're going to die cut these out. Just be careful. If you have that on the majority of your paper, that means you have too much pressure, too many shims, too much pressure out of your die cutting machine. You need to back that off. So you either need to take out a shim, or you might have to find a different die cutting machine that does not have as much pressure, okay? And I have a little bit of foil right here where it says grateful for you. I'm just going to take a mono sand eraser, and I'm just going to erase that out of there. Okay. Don't panic. Now, if you have a problem with your dies kind of jumping or moving when you're going through the machine, there's a couple of things you can do. You can use tape. The hinge method is the best way to do that. Some low tack tape. Or you can tape your plates together, which I've shown in other videos. So if you have any questions, let me know. These come with dies, so we're going to want to line up the dies. Now, if you're not into foiling, you are able to get these as stamps. So, love the versatility of this release. Because I know not everybody wants to do foiling. You know, you don't have the time for it, don't have the space, don't have the budget. Hot foiling can be a little bit expensive, but the results are pretty. And make sure when you tape these down, you are taping the cutting side down. The cutting side is raised. See that? That is the cutting side, so you want that down. Flat side is up so that it cuts into your die cutting machine. You do not do any die cutting on your foil platform. Do not do die cutting on your foil platform. Okay, so I'm going to bring my Spellbinder's machine in. And we have universal plate A, universal plate B. I have a pink cutting plate, which is C, and then a top clear cutting plate. So we're going to put those on there like that and run them through. Again, we are not using the heating platform at all. We are doing regular die cutting as you normally would here. You carefully want to remove that tape and dies. Cut through beautifully. Okay, and that's just some of the sentiments. There's a lot of beautiful sentiments with this set. And you'll see me use it in some of the other releases, part of this release, some of the cards that I've made. All right, so that's that. So you can very easily now put a card together by taking your background, adding your sentiment. You can also color this. You can ink blend this. So keep that in mind. This is Catherine Pooler paper, so all the wonderful things you can do with the Catherine Pooler paper, you can do on here. So if I take some, let's take some. Sauna ink here, my Catherine Pooler blending brushes. Start off the edge of the page. This does not hurt your foiling at all. I recommend doing your foiling first and then coming in and adding your inking and any coloring that you want to do. You can see it's beautiful on that paper. And then you just take a soft cloth and you can wipe the top of the foil and you'll have that beautiful ink blending on there and nothing hurts the foil there. And you want to use a dye ink, like the Catherine Pooler dye inks, because they go in and soak into the paper. They do not harm the foil. Pigment inks I don't recommend because they sit on top of the foil, and you don't want that to affect your foiling. Okay, so you can see how beautiful that looks. Now, the other thing you can do with the solid hot foil plate is your waste foil. So what is waste foil? Waste foil are these foil pieces we've already used and pulled off, okay? Well, what do we do with them? Well, we reuse them is what we do. So we don't want to throw these away. And I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks here on using waste foil. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your plate is nice and hot. Sometimes, depending on how old your foiling machine is, these things do kind of wear out, right? The more we use them, the more they lose a little bit of voltage sometimes. So if that happens, you might need to run this through twice. So even though this is green and it says it's ready, we could do the 60-second countdown. Some of you guys might have to do it twice. So all you do is just disengage this and then re-engage it. And then it will reset and it'll continue to stay hot. Okay, but you want this plate, there is a little ridge on the plate. You want to make sure that the ridge is on the bottom and the plate is raised up. And I'm going to start with this one with the sentiments. You're going to put the plate, the foil is always going to be pretty side down. What we want is the pressure of this plate to push on this foil, and this side of the foil has a special adhesive that heats up. So we're going to put that on there. Then we're going to grab a piece again of our Catherine Pooler paper. Now, sometimes you might have problems with your paper, again, depending on the intricacy of your design. We'll see how this works. I'm going to put my plate back on and give that a 60-second countdown. Again, some of you might have to do that 60-second countdown twice. If you are struggling with waste foil, the biggest secret I can give you is change your paper, okay? Depending on the pressure of your machine, for waste foiling, you want extra pressure and you want extra heat. You might have to put in an extra paper shim in here. If it's not giving you full coverage or full foiling, you're getting a lot of under foiling, you just take a thick piece of cardstock. This will just be a card base. Put that in between the two shims and add that, okay? So you might need to double your heat 2 times. You might need to add an extra shim in there. The other thing you might need to do is change your paper. If you have any kind of glossy paper or Yupo paper or the Spellbinder's Glimmer Specialty paper, they take foil beautifully, okay? You'll have to experiment with what you have. Paper is very porous, and foil doesn't like that. Foil wants to stick to whatever it can stick to. So the better contact it has when there are not any of those open porous surfaces, the better your foil is going to transfer. So Spellbinder's Glimmer paper or Yupo paper or any kind of glossy cardstocks you have might give you a better result in transferring that over. We're going to see how this does. I'm going to move everything over, bring my machine in again. But I've always had pretty good results with Catherine Pooler paper. Okay, I'm also going to run this through several times. So I'm probably going to do this 2 passes. So there's 1, 2, and again, you want extra pressure and extra heat when you are doing waste foil. And just like anything else we do, foiling takes practice. And I have a lot of videos to help you out with this. Okay, we're going to allow that to cool down. Now, while that's doing that, I'm going to grab this other piece, put this back on here to heat up. Let's see how this paper does. I might change papers. We'll see here a second. Want to let it cool down. Always let it cool down so that it can complete its bond. And I can just pull up on the corners and take a look and see how it did. That's pretty good. We'll see how it does. Sometimes it does well on the edges, and this is what you want. You want full coverage. Now, if you start to pull up and start to see that it's kind of pocked and speckled and you don't have full coverage, put this back on and run it through again. Add a shim, twice the heat, and run it through again. But we seem to be doing pretty well here. And that is what you want, ultimately. That is perfect. So now this is the waste. This is perfectly clean. We can throw this away. And we can align the dies on here and cut these out now. Okay, so now that I know that that paper worked okay with that color foil. By the way, every foil is different. Each color combination, some foil better, some foil not so good. So I'm going to do the same thing. I have my beautiful leaf, swirling leaf on there. Same Catherine Pooler paper. Lining that up. We're going to put our 2 shims on. And do our countdown. While that's doing that, so we're going to get 2 sets of sentiments here with the same piece of foil, you guys. When I tape these, I want to use a very low tack tape. You might need to de-stick some of your tape, and you want to tape it on the outside. Try not to get the tape on the inside of your image because sometimes tape will pull up your foil, so just be careful with that. So we're going to tape this on the outside of our image, trying not to get tape on the inside because, again, we don't want that to pull up. Okay. those die cut out, and it looks like our glimmer is done blinking, so we can run that through. And again, take your time. I like to run this through when I am doing solid hot foiling. I run it through a couple of times, so 2 full passes. So that's 1 back and forth, 2 back and forth. And again, this is the secret. Every die cutting machine is different. Your papers are different and your foils are different. So you're going to have to experiment. It's also different foils between machines. Gemini Foilpress foils transfer at a much lower heat than Spellbinder's foils. Spellbinder's foils need to be like at a medium heat. So be careful of that. Again, if you want more information on that, check out my other videos. We're going to let this cool down. Pop these sentiments out. I want to show you here as I pull the tape off the dies. See that? See how that tape pulled that up? So be careful where you apply your tape. And this is a very low tack tape. But we have our sentiments. We have our backgrounds. Now let's reveal this. Another beautifully foiled background. So now I have the original background. I have the waste foil background. I have the original sentiments. I have the waste foil sentiments. And I can very easily, like I said, ink these. I can even ink these leaves. If I wanted to ink these leaves, I can go ahead and do that. And all I got to do now is just add my sentiments. All right, so hopefully you guys have a better understanding of hot foiling. These plates are beautiful. Definitely check them out. I will have some more videos putting some cards together for you guys. If you had fun watching and learning, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel. I do have a hot foiling playlist, which will help you out and give you a little bit more information on the basics of hot foiling. Thanks for watching and keep on foiling. Bye, guys.